This conference will now be recorded.
Hi all, welcome to the session. Hope you all can see my screen. Hey, you all see my screen?
Yes, we
Hello.
are able to see your screen. Yeah.
Hi all, welcome to the session. Can you all
Hello,
hear
sir.
me?
Good morning. Yes.
Yeah. Just give me a minute here. Actually, I got blue screen. I'm trying to get my
Oh,
presenter back again.
okay, no problem.
Okay, please let me know once you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. And please mute yourself. Okay. Yeah. So see here. Already we know what is an ERP and we have seen what kinds of ERPs are there and how to divide between the ERP and what is an enterprise and all those stuff. Okay. So now we will directly deep dive into Dynamics 365. Okay. I don't want to take more time on the very basic stuff. We will directly deep dive into Dynamics 365 and then we will learn what is the architecture of Dynamics 365. Okay. So see here. I don't want to copy some images and then directly show you them. Okay. Let me open the browser here because all these images are already available in MSDN. Yeah. Okay. Just let me type architecture of Dynamics 365. Okay. Now you can see finance and operations application architecture. Okay, so this is the first thing that we need to see. Okay, I am muting everyone. Please unmute yourself only when you have questions, and please mute immediately. Okay, yeah. Now see here. First of all, when I come to the architecture, already I explained you few of the things inside this. From that, today I want to take this image as the primary point, and let's see what does it contain. Okay, you all can see this image now. So this is what is the architecture or the application architecture of Dynamics 365. Okay, so at the beginning, where to start this? Because each and every place you are seeing the bidirectional arrow marks. Okay, each and every place you are seeing the bidirectional arrow marks. So whenever you want to start with the finance and operations or the Dynamics 365 application, let's begin that from here. Okay, you can see a cloud symbol, the finance and operations application. If you want to host it on the cloud, you can host it on the cloud. And if you want to have it on premises, you can have it on premises. Even if you are using the on-premises application, or even if you are using the cloud application, you need to provide access to the end users. To provide access to the users, we will be using Active Directory authentication. The Active Directory authentication can be either your Windows Server Active Directory, what you can see here, or it can be through Azure Active Directory. If the application is hosted in the cloud environment, sorry, if the application is hosted in the cloud environment, then we are going to use Azure Active Directory authentication to provide access to the users. Okay, to provide access to the users, we have a concept of security, and we will call it as a role-based security that we will discuss in the future sessions. Okay, but please remember, to provide access to the application, we will be using Azure Active Directory. Okay, just a second. I don't know why today it is causing issues, the environment. Okay. Anyways, in a day or two, I will download the latest environment. If possible, today itself, I will show you. Okay. So we are going to use Azure Active Directory authentication for the cloud hosted environments, and then we will be providing access to the end users. Okay, and if you see that application, that application is interlinked with life cycle services. What are life cycle services? To maintain the entire life cycle of the application, of the Dynamics 365 application, we are going to use life cycle services. And remember, if you are using Dynamics AX, you should have access to LCS. Okay, in the LCS portal, we are going to maintain the details of the whole life cycle of the Dynamics 365, or even if it is AX 2012, it is same. The life cycle services is same in case of AX 2012 and Dynamics 365. The only way that we are going to develop and upgrade is going to change. Okay, and this life cycle services is in turn connected with Visual Studio Team Services. What is Visual Studio Team Services? It is the repository. Okay, it is the version control system or the repository where we are going to store our code. Okay, and coming to Dynamics 365, you can use Git or you can use Team Foundation. Okay, but I will say using Team Foundation version control for now is the best thing, because when you are upgrading, when you are doing a code upgrade, LCS is not supporting Git yet. Okay, LCS is not supporting Git or JIT. I don't know what you call, you can call Git or JIT. Okay, it is not supporting the JIT version control. So whatever we need to do is we need to fix to Team Foundation Server version control. We need to fix to Team Foundation Server version control. The Team Foundation Server supports LCS as well. Okay, we need to integrate Visual Studio Team Services with LCS, and Finance and operations is again integrated with LCS. Whenever you do a check-in or check-out of the code, you need to do that inside the Visual Studio Team Services. Okay, and you can see this life cycle services is in turn connected with Microsoft Office 365 Admin Center. Okay, if you want to do some modifications or if you want to interact using the Excel files, okay, or if you want to give some what do you call that, Word documents, if there are any issues, okay, which is why the Office 365 is integrated. Okay, so this is a whole one set of subscription. Okay, with this Office 365 enterprise subscription, we would be able to control all these things that you see here. Okay, with the Office 365 enterprise subscription, we'll be controlling all these things that you see here. Okay, so this is about the architecture of Dynamics 365. And now you might say, okay, this is good. This is about the application architecture. Now, what is the second thing? Development architecture, which is very, very important. Okay, let me take one more image. Oh, sorry, yeah, one last time. And after this, I will change the VM itself. Okay, just a second. Okay. Oh no, just a second. Let me open my OneNote. Give me a second. Hmm. Actually, I don't want again that environment to shut down, so I took the image out. So see here. So whatever the thing that you're seeing here is called development architecture of Dynamics 365. So in this development architecture, the first thing and the very important thing that we are going to concentrate on is dev tools. What is that? Dev tools. The development of the Dynamics 365 is done on Visual Studio 2015. Okay, the development, the whole set of development will be working on only in Visual Studio 2015. And the second question comes, okay, we are going to develop on Visual Studio, it is well and good. What about the client, where the users can see the data? What about the client? So the client can be either a mobile application, the client can be, okay, on your Play Store. If you go and find Dynamics 365, you will get the mobile application. On iOS, you have the same. On Windows, you have the same. Okay. Or you can use the web browser client. If you want to work with a web browser client, a thin client, you can use the web browser client. Okay. And along with this, the client, you will have the Office 365. Okay. You will have the Office 365 and Retail POS. So all this will come under a single package, and depending upon what you are using, you are going to pay. Okay, depending upon whatever you are using, you are going to pay for that. Okay, whereas coming to the client, we will be having all these things under one control. Whereas in AX 2012, what we used to do, we used to install Retail separately. Whereas here, you will get Retail along with the Dynamics 365 client itself. You can use it if you want, or that's up to you. If you don't want, you can simply remove it from your subscription. Okay, that's possible. And now the next thing is the application. What does the core application contain? Okay, the core application contains the whole set of modules. What are the modules? We have the production module, we have supply chain management, we have warehousing, timesheet, expense, budget, project management, financial management, retail, HCM. We have all this set of modules. Okay, all the set of functional modules available as part of the application. Now, what other thing that you're seeing on the blue is the front end. Along with this, if you want to have any ISV solution, we can have it. Okay, I will explain you what is ISV within a minute. If you want to have some ISV solutions, we can have the ISV solutions as well. Now, what about the rendering? Because you can see all these things on the front end. If those should be rendered and displayed on the front end, you should have some user interface engine. You can see the form engine. You can see there is something called form engine here, and this form engine is going to render whatever is needed to be displayed on the front end. And similarly, on the back end, we have the database and the business logic. So how to interact between them? To do that, we have the interaction, the user interface interaction services. This UI interaction services will interact with various components of Dynamics 365 and then render the data to be displayed on the client. Okay, and then render the data to be displayed on the client. And then we have the web services. What is the purpose of these web services here? To interact with the third party applications. To interact with the third party applications, we will be using web services. Okay, similarly, to set up the approval process, we have workflow here, and to create a KT document, we are going to use the task recorder. KT document in the sense, let's say our project is finished. Now the end users, we need to train them. To train them, we need to provide the documents. To create the recordings and documents which are used for knowledge transfer purposes, we will use task recorder. Okay, and in Dynamics 365, we can also use this task recorder to create the test cases. If you want to create the test cases, we can use the task recording and then we can create the test cases. To set up the approval process, we have a workflow framework, and then for data migration purposes, okay, for the purpose of data migration, we have data import export framework, and we will be calling the data import export framework as data management system in Dynamics 365. Okay, and to process something recurrently, we have a batch framework. For reporting purposes, we have a Power BI reports. Along with that, we can also use SSRS, SQL Server Reporting Services. Okay, and then we have a security implementation, the role-based security. What is the purpose of security? Some users who work on financial management should have access only to general ledger. The users working for the HR guys, they should have access only to the HR and payroll. So depending upon the role of the user, the security should be implemented. Okay, to do this security stuff, we have the role-based security. Okay, to process those things faster. Okay, if you're fetching the data something very regularly from the database, instead of fetching each time from the database, we can store it in the cache. To do that, we have the cache. Okay, and everything is dependent on code. Yeah, to store that code and to process it, we have a metadata framework. Okay, and this data access again is related to the database. So we have the development tools, and then client, and then we have the application. The application will contain a set of frameworks that you can see here, and at the end you have the platform here. In this platform, you can see there are two different topologies. One is the cloud deployment, second one is the on-premise deployment. Okay, in case of cloud deployment, if the user is expecting to use management reporter, okay, and we are not going to discuss management reporter as part of this course, please remember that he will have the separate virtual machine for management reporter, and for application object server, the AOS, where the core business logic related to Dynamics 365 will execute, will have a separate virtual machine. And for SSRS, SQL Server Reporting Services, we will have a separate virtual machine for this server. Okay, whereas in case of on-premises as well, it is same. We have the management reporter service fabric. For deployments, we'll be using this service fabrics here. An interconnection between the services and the deployments, we are going to use this service fabric. Okay, and we will have the same set of machines here. Along with this, in on-premise, we have environment orchestration. Okay, because this is a public network. To do the orchestration, we need the environment orchestration. Okay, and in case of databases, we are going to use SQL Azure. If it is a cloud deployment, we will be using SQL Server 2016. If it is a on-premise deployment, okay, if it is a on-premise deployment. Now you can see here the identity is also changed. In cloud, we have Azure Active Directory. In on-premise, as I told you, we have only Active Directory, which belongs to server machine. Okay, and again at the last, you can see even if it is on-premise, even if it is cloud, everything should be go through the process, and that process is Dynamics life cycle services. Okay, the initial step would be signing up to the environment. The second one would be provisioning the machines. Remember, the machines for Dynamics 365 are not created in Azure. Instead of that, we will create the machines from LCS. We will subscribe to the LCS. We will subscribe to the LCS, and then we will provision the environment. We will deploy the environment. So post deployment, so once the deployment is finished, we have the environment handy with us. We have the environment handy with us. Once we have the environment, you can develop whatever you want. You can do that. You can develop. Okay. Once you are done with the development, we will be deploying the code. Okay, we will be deploying the code. During the development, we will integrate it to the team services, and through team services, we will set up the build server, and then we are going to deploy the code to the test environment. So in future, if there are any hot fixes and updates, we are not going to install anything directly in the machine. Whatever we will be doing is, in lifecycle services, we need to set the machine to the maintain mode, and then we need to deploy, or we need to apply hot fixes and updates. Okay, so after applying hot fix and updates or doing the deployment, if there are any sort of issues, Those things we are going to see in the telemetry, diagnostics, telemetry, and monitoring. We can get all those things from LCS itself. Okay, and in this LCS, we will also have the implementation support, the upgrade support, and later on the operation support. Okay, so this is about the development architecture and the application architecture of Dynamics 365. And the overall, you can see here the application here it is shown as a in a overall form, whereas coming to the architecture, the application architecture is again divided into two different types. Okay, the application architecture is in turn divided into two different types. Okay, so we will call them as application stack architecture and then the application architecture. Let's see them. Just a second, let me copy them. If it reconnects, it is good. Otherwise, I will show them on the UI. Just a second. Okay, just a second. We will see the application and server architecture. I would like to show you the diagrams before explaining. Don't worry, this VM is actually very old. Anyways, I will remove this. I will set up a new VM today. So this is what is the application architecture. Okay. So whatever the image that we have seen previously, it has the combined architecture. Okay. Everything is combined into one in that image. Whereas if you see this image, the application architecture is divided into two different parts. From that, one is application stack and the second one is server. Second one is server. So what is application stack? See here, Dynamics 365 is an ERP. ERP means which will already have the modules inside it. So if there are modules, we should have code. For all those modules, we should have code. And that code is resided in Dynamics 365 in the form of a model. Okay, the code is resided in the form of a model. Okay, and coming to the models in Dynamics 365, already there are huge number of models. From them, the core application related models are: one is application platform. Application platform, as the name indicates, it's the platform. Okay, in the platform, all the framework related code is resided. Okay, so all the framework related code is resided in the application platform model. Now we can see here SSRS reporting, the base classes which are related to SQL Server reporting services are resided client and presentation. Okay, I told you there is something called forms engine which is used for rendering the data and then display it on the front end of thin client. Okay, all those things, all those classes or the forms or the AOT objects, all the AOT objects which are related to this forms engine is an client and presentation. Okay, in the client and presentation part of the application platform. And then we have the workflow and services, the approval process. Okay, the approval process that is set up, all the objects, the AOT objects which are related to this approval process are stored in workflow and services, the framework objects. And then we have runtime and data access. Okay, at runtime, if you want to perform some business logic, okay, at runtime, if we need to perform some business logic and if we need to access the data, all those things will be taken care by runtime and data access. And then we have the second one, the application foundation model. This contains the foundation related stuff. Okay, which contains the number sequences, the organization related stuff to generate the number sequences or to set up the organization. All those things will be resided in application foundation model. Okay, and on top of this we have two more models. One is called application suite. Okay, functionally we have few modules in Dynamics 365 application. The AOT objects which are related to that functionality are resided in application suite model, will reside in application suite model. Okay, and along with this we also have a example model called fleet management. Okay, so in Dynamics 365 we don't have tutorials. In AX 2012 we have a concept called tutorial. If we need to find something, simply what we will do, we will go and search tutorial underscore something, tutorial underscore something, all those things. Now lot of tutorials are removed here. In Dynamics 365 there are only few tutorials left, and then most of the part is moved to the example, which is a fleet management. This fleet management model is used for training purposes. Okay, the fleet management is used for training purposes. And along with this we have the next one, the server architecture. Okay, in application stack we have the storage of AOT objects, and it is split into separate models. From those, application platform, application foundation, application suite are the core system models, and then fleet management is the model used for training purposes. And now we will move on to the server architecture. And in the server architecture, at the bottom level, we can see a layer called data access layer. This data access layer is responsible for performing the database operations. Okay, the data access layer is responsible for making an interaction between Dynamics 365 and SQL Server and fetch the information whatever we need or to perform the CRUD operations. Okay, so that is the work of the data access layer. And along with this, when we are working with the data import export framework or the data management framework, the data access layer will also serve for SSIS related stuff. Okay, because when we are performing the integration, the data integration, we will be using the integration services. Okay, to perform this activity as well, the same data access layer is used. And in turn, what all things are interacting with this data access layer? The metadata, the business logic, means the application object server is interacting with the data access layer, and in turn the application object server will execute the business logic, and to display it on the UI, it will send it to forms engine. The forms engine will in turn render the information, and then it will send it to the UI interaction layer. Okay, along with this, if we want to perform some set of integration, along with this, if we want to perform some set of integration, we have OData endpoint. Okay, using this OData endpoint, we are going to interact with the business logic and then the data access layer, and we can fetch or we can update or we can create the data. But remember, when you are working with the OData endpoints, you can perform only create, read, update operations. You cannot perform delete operation using the OData entities. If you want to perform OData using OData, you should write separate set of code for that. Okay, it's not directly available in Dynamics 365. Okay. Hey, I can see there is some issue with audio. Is it only for Kamal or anyone is facing the same issue? Okay, please ping if you have any audio issues so that we can see how we can do them. Okay. Yeah.
No, Kumar, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. Okay. That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So this is about the application stack and application server architecture. Actually, I planned to show this in the VM as well. Okay. But unfortunately, the VM is causing issues. Okay. I think there should be some issues. The VM, it is crashing my whole laptop. Okay. I'm getting simply blue screen once I start the VM. So I will show you that tomorrow. Okay. So today we will discuss the next topic. Okay. I hope the architecture is clear for you now. Now see here, what are things that we are going to discuss in Dynamics 365? And before saying that, I would like to know what are the different types of projects? Because you might be few of the people are working in a company. What are the different types of projects that we will work in a company? How many types? What are the different categorization? They are divided into 3 different types. What are those? The first type of project is called implementation project. So what is an implementation project? Because most of the times, you know, If I ask what is an implementation project, everyone used to say, okay, we are working with some client, so that is an implementation project. Okay, but hey, development project means, again, even if it is implementation or even if it is support or even if it is upgradation, you are going to develop anyways. Okay, what is meant
So
by implementation?
Kumar, I think we have some. It's, able to hear me? So I think we have some product available on market, and some company need that product, but they need in different form. So we as a third party, we will take that product and apply their uses and help them to implement in their environment. So I think that is called as implement project.
Okay, so see here. Now, coming to the implementation project, if you're trying to do something which does not exist, okay, point number one, please remember, if you're trying to create a new product or whatever it is, if it does not exist, or one client is using it but the other client does not have it, okay, because this is also an implementation project, because clients are different. So that client is not going to, again, he will be not giving the software to some other person. So if we are trying to implement something that is not available in Dynamics AX, okay, if you are trying to implement something that is not available in Dynamics AX, then we are going to work with implementation project. For example, jewelry management system, okay, jewelry management system, jewelry management system. Is it available in Dynamics 365? No. So this will be your implementation project. For example, or I will call it as electricity management system, or you can also call it as utility. Okay, instead of electricity, you can also call it as utility management system. This is not available. If you create this one, you will call this as implementation project. Hospital management system. Hospital management. Dynamics 365 does not support hospital management here. Okay, because you can't add patient details, you can't add doctor details, and there are a lot of things that you can't do. Then you will call it as implementation project. Shopping management system. Do you have shopping management system? Can you manage all the details? I will say few of the things you can manage because you have inventory, warehouse, and all those modules now. So you can manage, but if you want complete set of shopping management system, it's not available. So like this, if you're trying to implement something new which is not available, then you will call it as a implementation project. And the second type of project is upgradation project. Okay, I am putting it as slash migration project. Okay, because there is a slight difference between upgradation and migration. Okay, so what is upgradation? The customer is already on Dynamics AX and he wants to move to Dynamics 365. Then we will call it as a upgradation project. The customer is already using Dynamics AX and he wants to move to Dynamics 365. Then we will call it as upgradation project. Okay, and the next one is migration. Most of the times people used to say we have data migration framework, so migration and upgradation both are same, but remember there is a slight difference. If the customer is on Oracle apps or the customer is on proprietary ERP, can you call the word upgradation? No, he need to migrate from one application to another application. Okay, then we will use a term called migration project. Okay, if he needs to migrate, then he is on some other application, he would like to move to Dynamics 365. Then we will use the term migration. Okay, and there is a third type of project called support project. Okay, and I can say in Dynamics AX, most of the people will be working with support project. Okay, now either the first phase or the second phase, because coming to the Dynamics 365, first of all what we will do is we will do a analysis. Let's say the customer is on AX 2012. We will do a analysis. So instead of speaking about the upgrade, let's begin with the implementation. Okay, so how to start with a brand new implementation project? So what are the phases involved? Okay, so I think most of you might be from the computer background. If you are from the computer background, you should know something called SDLC. What is SDLC? Oh, immediately everyone will answer, yeah. Software Development
Cycle.
Life Cycle. Okay, everyone will immediately say software development life cycle. So what is software development life cycle? It contains the set of steps to develop a software. Okay, but I don't want to go with this in detail. Okay, in Dynamics X, okay, either it is X 2012 or Dynamics 365, Microsoft came up with its own methodology. Okay, Microsoft came up with its own methodology, and we will call that methodology as sure step. Even if it is AX 2012 or Dynamics 365, we are going to use sure step methodology. Okay, and in sure step methodology again we have a set of steps here. Coming to the sure step methodology, it's similar to a software development life cycle. If you ask me, I will say both are same. Okay, even if it is software development life cycle or sure step methodology, I will say both are same. Okay, with slight differences. This sure step methodology will again contain a set of steps. This sure step methodology will again contain a set of steps. What are those steps? What are those steps? From that, the first step is diagnostic, or you can call diagnosis. Okay, if you ask me, the software development life cycle is similar to going to a hospital. Okay, it's similar to going to a hospital. You got some fever or whatever it is, and then what you will do, you will go to the hospital and then you will visit a doctor. What doctor will do? Doctor will immediately give some medicine and he will ask you to leave. No, what he will immediately say? He will write some diagnosis tests. He will write some diagnosis tests, and then he will ask you to get them back. It is similar in the business requirement as well. Okay, now let's say we have a client. Our client is Flipkart. Okay, our client is Flipkart. Okay, now you went to the Flipkart. What you will do? You will sit in the diagnosis phase. So what you will do in the diagnosis phase? Business requirements, or I will use the term business process understanding. Okay, now what we will do is we will analyze the whole customer business process. Okay, we will analyze the customer business process, and then what we will do, we will create documents out of it. We will create documents out of it. Okay, so what are those documents? What are those documents? We will get a set of documents here. What are those documents? We will prepare the business requirement documents. We will understand what is the business requirement. Okay, and then In the same step, we will take decisions about the POC. What is POC? Proof of concept. Okay, we will take the sample business process of the customer, and then we will come up with the proof of concept. Okay, remember, clients will not agree directly to build something. Okay, we need to build a proof of concept, and then we need to demonstrate to the customer saying that it will work. Okay, and if you ask me, who all people are involved in the diagnostic phase? In diagnostic phase, we will have the business analyst, we will have the business analyst, and in case of Dynamics 365, there will be a functional consultant or the functional architect. Okay, okay, the functional architect along with the technical architect will sit together in the diagnosis phase. Okay, because when they are trying to get the business requirement, when they are trying to get the business understanding, they need the whole set of details. Okay, whole set of business process details. Okay, now it's done, we got it. Your diagnosis tests are finished. Again, you went back to the doctor. What doctor will do? You will give him the document, the whole set of reports, and he will start analyzing the reports. Okay, he will try to check the values, whether all the values are in the positive side or the negative side, or whether it is good or bad. He will check all those things. The same thing we will do here in this analysis phase. We are going to analyze the things. What analyze we will do here? Already we have D365 ERP. We have the whole set of modules. In Dynamics 365, we have a whole set of modules now. In these modules, what is there and what is not there? Or in other words, requirements already present in D365, customizations needed, implementation changes needed. All these things are identified in the analysis phase. In analysis phase, there will be a in-depth analysis done on the customer requirements, and then we will see the mapping between Dynamics 365 and then the client requirement. We will see the mapping between the client requirement and the Dynamics 365. We will compare them, and then we will see what all things are met and what all things should be implemented and what should be customized. Okay, what should be customized? All these things will be taken care during the analysis phase. Okay, and the output of the analysis phase will be the architecture document. Analysis is done. Now we know the problem. So what we can do? We can build the solution. Okay, we know what is the problem here. Now we know what is the problem. So what we need to do? We need to take medicines, or the doctor will suggest surgery. These are the things that will happen. The same thing will happen here. Now the analysis phase is done, and then we will start working with the design. Okay, and during this design phase, there will be different sets of designs. From them, the most important designs are functional design, technical design. Okay, and whenever we are working with the documents, these documents are divided into two different types. One is called high level and the second one is called low level. When you're trying to build something, the design, it can be either the high level design or the low level design. And in the design phase, the initial design will be high level design, which will just shows the high level requirements. The second will be the low level design. The low level design or the low level functional design will be pictographical. Okay, we will have the pictures in it. They will show what to add, where to add, what are the customizations that should be done. If there are any tables, what are the tables that we need to modify? Sorry, what are the forms that we need to modify? What all things should be modified? All those things will be part of the functional design. And then the functional design, will in turn converted into technical design. What is the business logic that should be implemented? Okay, and step by step information of what should be implemented in Dynamics 365 will be part of the design phase. Okay, and then the next step would be development phase. Okay, in development phase, the developers will execute or write the business logic, which is part of the technical design, and they will implement the things. Okay, and then after the development phase, now we are done with the development here. Next, the code should be moved to the test environment. We will call it as a deployment phase. Okay, and during the deployment, there will be different set of environments depending upon the customer to customer, because if the customer will pay more, he will have more set of testing, more amount of testing. If the customer will pay less, from here it will move to FAT. We will call it as functional acceptance testing. From here it will move to UAT. Okay, and the UAT will be in turn converted to production. Done. That's it. Okay, this is how the environments are. We are going to deploy it to the functional environment. Here the functional consultant will test, and then he will approve the changes. After that, the changes will be moved to UAT, user acceptance testing. Here the end user will test, and then he will accept. Once the user acceptance testing is done, the changes will be deployed to production environment. Okay, and now done. We are done with the deployment as well, and then we will move on to the operations phase. So this is where support comes into picture. Okay, and here the support again divided into different types. Okay, here as the company has done the work, they will support it for 1 year or 2 years for free. Later on, either the same company will take the support or they will outsource this to other companies. Okay, so this is the whole set of process involved in sure step methodology. Okay, and here you can see I told you analyze the things and then identify what is available in Dynamics 365 and what are the customizations needed. All this is called fit gap analysis. What we call it? We will call it as fit gap analysis. What is fit and what is a gap in Dynamics 365? Got it? This is about the Dynamics 365 methodology of the implementation project. And even if it is an upgradation project, instead of diagnosis, we will start with the analysis. Okay, we will do the upgrade analysis and then we will do the same thing again. Remember this. Okay, all the other steps will be there. If it is a support project, we will be only with operations. No, even in the support project as well, we will get something called change request. We will get something called change request. When there is a change request, again it should go through all these steps. Okay, but if you ask me how many are following this, I will say simply a lot of people will not follow this because of timelines. Okay, more than 90% of the people will not follow this due to timelines, because if you need to again execute all these phases, it will take a lot of time. Yeah, there will be a lot of time consumption. but the customer will be, customer will never wait that much amount of time. So what people will do is they will directly, if there is any change request now, they will have only these two phases. They will develop and deploy. Okay. And in few cases, I saw the people who will directly modify in the prod environment. Okay. Directly the code will be modified on the prod as well. It depends again. Okay. So remember, these are the phases involved. So now what we will do is tomorrow we will start with the implementation project. I will explain you all these three. I will explain you how to work with the implementation, how to handle upgradation or migration, how to handle support projects. I will explain you all these three projects. Okay. Tomorrow we will start with the implementation project. And regularly I used to discuss bank management system, and few times I have changed it to shopping management system and hospital vehicle. So that's up to you. Let's decide. I will decide one of the project, and then we'll see how to start with the requirements. Okay. Yeah, that's it for today. Please let me know if you have any queries. And please ping your contact numbers, because I think they want to create a WhatsApp group for all of us. Any questions? If there
Kumar,
are, yep.
at the end of the training, so we will be ready with one simple project, right? Or you will be going through the one by one concept and explaining everything.
I will be going with one complete project.
Okay, so in between, whatever the concept is coming, you will be explaining, right?
Yep. In between,
Okay.
whatever the concept that we need, I will explain in the same project. Okay. And regarding the system install, you can install it on your own laptop. I will show you tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
I will explain you the details on how to download the environment and how to set up the environment. Okay.
So I want to know about the because we came across lots of table properties, form properties. So some are in Microsoft document. It is not that much clear. So will you explain each and every property with example how it's working?
Hey, each and every property with example means, frankly
Mm-hmm.
speaking, if we go in that fashion, the
Mm-hmm.
course should be extended to 1 year to 2 years. Okay. I will
Okay.
take one set, whatever we are going to use very regularly. And if there are
Mm-hmm.
any important properties, I will explain you all those set of properties. Okay.
Okay.
Because each and
Some
every property, not.
we know and some are a bit confusing. So will you be
Yeah, if you tell me what are the confusing properties for you, I will explain them. That's not a big deal.
want to
Okay.
know with example, I want to know about those properties.
With example means,
Suppose some property I have confusion. So if you can show us
can you
in
tell me one example property that you have confusion?
the link property at the form there is link. Uh,
That
at
anyways I will explain. That anyways
yeah
with example only I will explain. In the form I will add the link and then I will show you. Okay, link
yeah
type,
how
join type, everything I will show you. Okay, after running
so
what will happen and how they will behave. I will show you
yeah
that things. No
I
worries.
want how it will do the
Yep.
behavior.
Next. Yeah, I will
Kumar,
tell you if
yeah, Kishore. Do we need to know C# as well?
not needed. If you learn, it's an added advantage, but it's not needed.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Okay. Okay, I will use the meeting. Please ping your number so that they will create a WhatsApp group for us. Thank you all. Bye. Let's meet again tomorrow.